Unlike most atheists, I am against abortion for the most part. I feel like it's killing, but not necessarily murder. The reason why I feel this way is because, like most other animals, besides like asexual that reproduce with budding or whatever, and including plants that reproduce with male and female, um, the child. I mean, it's not necessarily a child if it's a plant exactly, but the child is beginning to form as life when the gamete of, or is it the allele? I think it's the gamete of the mother and the father combine. That's when um, the child becomes its own thing, and it's growing, and it has all of the aspects of life. So I do consider it life. I don't necessarily consider um, this as human life because I feel like humanity, the defining factor of humanity isn't present in unborn babies or maybe even babies or maybe even children. I don't know, but what I do know for myself is that it's life. So I am in general against abortions. I am pro adoption if a woman feels like she can't take care of this baby that she didn't want. And I feel like that's a better option because you're letting then the child choose their own life rather than preventing that choice at all by preventing them from living in the first place. Um, but I'm not like 100% strict on my view with it because I think that women whose lives are in danger should be allowed to get abortions, or if the child will necessarily die and puts the mom at risk. I mean, there are exceptions, but I'm still on the fence with rape victims and women who wouldn't financially be able to take care of the babies. And I mean, I feel a lot of sympathy for both. Don't get me wrong. It's the only issue that I have with it is that even though you were in this bad situation, even whether it's rape or finance, I'm not putting them on the same level. But they're negative situations, but preventing life is also negative. So I feel like it doesn't help anything, and you can put the child up for adoption, and even if it's 9 months of torture, you're letting another thing live. So even if it's not necessarily wrong to kill it, I feel like or even if it's not necessarily wrong to abort it, um, it's I would feel like it's a very good thing to allow that to live and allow the opportunities to happen. So that's where I stand on abortion. Gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual, um, gender identity, all of that stuff, I am so for it all. Like, do what you want to do, have fun. Marriage is, I've heard my stepdad say this all the time, marriage is an institution of God. I don't know where he gets that thought from, but even if marriage um, has an institution in religion as well as in government and society, it's not the only thing. Marriage is not exclusive to Christians. So if Christians don't like it, they don't own marriage rights. So screw them. uh, and I think it's ridiculous how they get into like this fear of somehow this is going to taint society, and like, oh, next we're going to let people marry dogs and cartoon characters, and it's like it's a little bit ridiculous. I like the word ridiculous if you haven't found out. So I mean, it's your life. You can do with it what you want. Um, I personally am straight, so I mean, I doesn't really mean anything except for that I'm giving you a little information on myself. But I'm straight. I don't have anything against gay people, lesbians, guys, transgenders, gender identity issues, none of that. Whatever. I love y'all. I love people. I love humanity. I hate what some people do. I hate what some people think and push, and um, but I think the basis of humanity is good. I am opposite with Christians on that. I don't believe that we are inherently evil or that we need forgiving or anything like that. It's just that people think they do, and then they do. I mean, as soon as the human mind is absolutely crazy. If you think that you're going to recover faster, there have been studies that have proven if you are optimistic about how you're going to do with this illness, the people who are optimistic a lot of times heal faster than the people who are pessimistic. So it's all kind of the same thing for me. If you feel like you need a God in order to function correctly, then you do, because that's what you think, and your brain is good at giving you what your brain thinks. So you know what I mean? I was just reading part of The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins, and I love him, by the way. He was talking about the... If you've read the book, if you haven't read the book, kind of ignore this part, but if you have read it, I was reading about the part about the mask, and how when it turns on the table, your mind kind of sees it in one way and then flips and sees it in another, because your mind is basically a big simulation program. It doesn't actually see what it thinks it sees. It doesn't hear what it thinks it hears. It hears parts, or it hears the things but interprets them what's not necessarily what is so. So people that think they hear voices might have heard the wind, for instance, or anything else, really. So, or was that... Did I lie? Was that not Richard Dawkins? No, I think that was his. I watched an Aaron Ra video today, too, and I thought for a minute that I mixed them up. But if it wasn't Richard Dawkins, it was Aaron Ra, so... I don't think it was him, though. He was talking about Superman. Anyway, what other things are there? What other issues? I think it's crazy that people don't want to elect atheists into office. I mean, we're one of the fastest growing percentages of populations of people. I heard that we outnumber Jewish people. So I don't understand this whole negative aura going around the atheists. I think that we all need to start kind of showing our faces and putting the labels out there. And I'm not really a big fan of labels necessarily, but if it's kind of necessary at this point in our society, I think, because if we don't struggling for words. If we don't do things and let people know that, hey, we're atheists doing these things, they're going to assume what they're going to assume. And with most of the population being Christian, they're going to assume automatically that good things automatically are done by Christians. But actually what it is, it's a lot of good people doing things, and they happen to be Christian, or whatever else they happen to be. But I think it's important that we start putting our word out there. Give me questions, comments, future topics. Take care.